Hey, you guys. Hey, happy election night. You're here with Coach Peggy on the All Things Wellness. I'm the Coach Peggy Show. Yes, we are here. And you guys know how to find me. And you know why to find me, because I don't just talk about one thing. You know that on my website, you can find my trademark 24 spoke wheel. So I go off road. I talk about spirit and organization and, yes, nutrition and exercise and all those fine things. But tonight is so super special. And I don't even know how I found this guy, like the Jesus is. I think they just FedExed him to me. Honestly, I don't have any clue. Let me tell you how I do my Facebook and my Instagram. If you look at my Instagram, the numbers are like, what? Who cares? If you look at my Facebook, they've been kind of going up. I look at everybody's stuff. So if you've got a picture of a profile change and a profile change and then born in 1978, I don't take you, because I don't want it. I don't give a crap. I'm not trying to chase numbers, but I do want to hang out with like-minded people. Who are they? They're authors, they're business people, they're moms. I love my moms. I love my coaches and all that. So I think that's how I found Christopher Rausch. Rausch. Hello, people. So tonight's show, it is happy election. We're going to also, this is unfiltered. It's like sitting in your living room, you're grabbing your coffee or tequila, whatever the heck is working for you. We're going to go off road. Sometimes we might forget that you're here. Chris has his KA mug. If you guys can see him, if you're out walking, you're probably listening to this live on your ears and you can't see his pretty little face. But if you look at us back, scroll through Facebook, any of my radio shows are there and you'll see his lovely face. So let me just talk to you about, first of all, I want to say hi before I say how amazing you are. Hello and welcome.
Hi, how are you? What's going on?
I'm really good. I'm good. Glad to have you here. Very colorful background, you guys. It's like red, white, and blue.
I know. Look at this. It's amazing. It's like, it's just kismet. Don't even quote me that I just said kismet, because when people see me, they're gonna be like, oh, that guy said kismet. Oh my God.
The rocker dude said kismet. Wonder if you can spell it. So yeah, look at our backgrounds. We're like totally, we both have followers outside the US, and I want to kind of talk about what you and I are hearing about that. But we are certainly Americans, and united we stand. And of course you have a really cool background because you have like guitars and everything. So those of you who are walking and talking out there with some dogs and drinking some Starbucks or whatever you are, we are thinking about you and hoping that you're dealing with your anxiety tonight. And we're going to try to have some fun. And hopefully, if we've had a tough day ourselves. I saw your walk and talk today. And, before I do your bio real quick, what I want to say to you is we don't have much of a soundboard in our profession. It's like you kind of have that fine line where you're like, if we're having a bad day, who do you tell? How do you tell them? And yet we want to kind of look like we got our act together. So they come to us and then we want to speak, but do you speak, and how transparent, not that. So I thought this is so cool that we're together, because we'll probably end up coaching each other without coaching each other.
Let's do it.
Hey, buddy, look at video 178 of yours. All right, you guys. So I've got to kind of tell you what he's all about. And I know for one thing that he loves more than anything is he loves his little baby boy. And I'm sure we'll be chatting about him. And he loves his wife to death. And you guys, I'm a mother of 2 men. So I'm a mama too. So I get it. All right, let's talk. Christopher is an unstoppable, no excuses coach. He holds a master's degree in organizational management. What? That's amazing. He's a business owner, a fired up radio host of Raw and Unscripted. It is amazing. Catch it on YouTube. I'm telling you, he's a brother from another mother and another father for me. He's an international keynote speaker and electrifying. He has these principles from life experience that he puts into play, and he is enthralling and exciting to listen to and empowering. And I've been absorbing him like cray. And buddy, I'm serious. I'm excited to have you here. So
I am super excited to be here too. As a matter of fact, I already shared it once, but I wanted to share it again to make sure people got a chance to come check out this discussion. But no, thank you so much for everything. I mean, honestly, I'm just kind of blown over that of your response to my coaching style, I guess, my broadcast style, just my style in general about how I approach life and how I approach personal development, if you will. And I'm just excited to be able to share the conversation with you as well, because it's, as you know, you find spirited people in the conversation, and sometimes you find people who are not so spirited or have different beliefs. But I really am looking forward to this conversation to impact people as much as we can.
And what I loved about it is when you look at us, we get to the place at our age, neither one of us are 21. And I would say only in the last 4 or 5 years have I truly embraced I'm bolder, not older, kind of thing. Like I can be who I am. And if you don't like it, leave it. And I don't really care. But when we're going through those years, as I said earlier, you were in the corporate America kind of thing. I mean, I was a rule follower. You weren't. Okay. If you guys can see my face. And he has a story and we're going to talk about it. But what I love about where we both are is that some people are going to like us and some aren't. We're not for everybody. And we're abrasive and that's not for everybody. And it's okay because what I was thinking about you today when I was actually standing in line voting, and I was thinking about this show. Hey, yeah, I
Good.
went for the experience, and the Red Sea parted because all of a sudden it was just me in the event center, and I was like, "Have I got the right day?" Because
Deep.
it was really weird. But what I was thinking about both of us is starting in December of last year, people started like all these coaches started popping up. Dude, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's a life coach and a finance coach and a nutrition coach and a bend over coach and a here's my nose coach. I'm seriously like coaches freaking everywhere. And I started to second guess, like, why am I special? Like, what am I going to do? Do I do one more magnet, one more? You know what I mean? And so finally, somebody said to me something that's so profound. I want to say to you. Somebody said to me, and I'm going to look right at you and say, Chris, you are the brand. You're the brand
Hmm.
because I can have the same content that you have and both of us stand up and have a little maybe the same a little bit of the same audience, different audience or what, but you're what's infectious to whomever. And I finally embraced that and thought, whoa, I don't have to have a PhD, I don't need any acronyms. I've walked the planet enough.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on that as I drink? I know you have your Jack because you went to Costco or something. You
Of
told me.
course.
I,
Yes. Yep. Gentlemen Jack, ladies and gentlemen. So cheers wherever you're at. And
mm,
we really do hope this discussion illuminates some things for you guys as well. But, honestly, I look at things as degrees and certificates are really great. They show that you've gone through a structured path that has been put together by people who are so-called experts that are designed to make you better, right? But I sit there and I
mhm.
look at, when people ask me, and I've never had a single person, I don't think, ever asked me about my coaching certification. And I was going to go through ICF, I was going to do all that stuff. And instead, I was like, if we get into the discussion about it, I'm like, you know what? I went to the School of Hard Knocks and I graduated from the College of Adversity. So let me just
Yeah,
tell you about 10 minutes of my story, and you let me know if I'm qualified to help you become more confident in your life, right? Or become more unstoppable in your life. And I don't even get to 3 minutes. So like, where do I sign up? I'm
right.
like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it is. So yeah, I think people are just trying to find their way, and everybody thinks that they're an expert overnight and they can take a 2 week class. Like, oh wow, I'm a coach now. And the sad thing is, I've had people approach me like, I've had 3 bad experiences with coaches. What can you tell me? And I'm like, you probably had people that had only coached 2 or 3 people or whatever. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
I just think that, for me, it's like finding your passion. You had said something that you say so many keywords that I just resonate with. And it's like, I'm so glad to have coffee with you. I don't get to have coffee with people that like get me. And with things like, I want to leave a legacy. I have been saying that for decades, where I say, if somebody walks into my office and finds all this content and this passion and purpose that I have put everywhere and I didn't do something with it, I will look down from the heavens and be furious at myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I want a legacy that where people read my epitaph. I've heard you say this, where they're saying, did she make a difference in not only her kids' lives, but generations? Did she lead from her heart? Was she? That's what I want people to coach about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's this tissue box. Coach what you're passionate about. And that's why it shouldn't matter what my certificate is. I mean, I'm not giving people advice to, bad advice. Cause I mean, I have some nutrition people that come to me that say, put me on a nutrition plan. I'm not the girl for you right now. Pass that. Like, I was trying to think, I know we're going to do some Q and A's at the end of the show, but I just want to off road for a second. What's one of the most common questions that pops in your head right now that you get asked? Is it maybe think of maybe a question that you have to defer or just say like, peace out. I'm not going to answer. Like, that's not my gig.
There's actually two. One of them is usually, how do I develop more confidence? And the other one lately is,
Mm,
how do I become more myself? Which is, again, letting go of the mask that we put on every
yeah.
day to go to work or do this or do that. How do I just become more like you? Because you seem really happy. So those are the two major questions that I get.
Yeah. Do you find a difference in men and women that approach you with Do they have the same question? Do you, like, how would you handle that if somebody said, how do, is it more male or female that's saying, let me let go of that mask? I mean, what's your experience?
It's honestly, it's interesting because I looked at the demographics of my audience and I do it periodically, and it's probably about 70% women,
Wow.
30% men. And I find
Sweet.
that the women are much more receptive and eager to figure out what it is their issues are so they can move on from it. Not to say that there's not my fair share of coaching clients who've approached me and just wanted to find the excuse and the blame secret.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem a little bit different. I think men are opening up to that fact. And I think, personally, and I don't take much credit for it, but the fact that I can be very manly, but yet be very vulnerable with my feelings and
Yeah.
talk about my emotions and talk about my weaknesses. I think we're seeing more of that in the media a little bit, hopefully. And the fact that that really, it's not only okay to be you, it is mandatory to be you, because otherwise, well, whose life are you living? And where are you going to get at the end of the road when you're looking at your hands and they're all old and frail and you're looking at your stories and you're thinking, wow, I'm
Yeah.
really regretful of the story of the things I didn't do and the things that, and the places I didn't, the chances I didn't take.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I think about it.
Yeah. In the world today, so when you woke up this morning, I'm just curious, it's 11/3/2020, election day. Did you make a specific, and I didn't, so I have no idea. Don't ask me this back. But
Mhm.
when you woke up today, I'm curious, did you say, okay, this is how I'm going to approach the day, or how I'm going to help others, or how I'm going to help myself? I mean, would you wake up thinking?
No, great question. Great question, Peggy. Every day I set up a morning ritual that really is designed to help keep me guided throughout the day, but helping most importantly start the day right. How many of us just pick up our phones and start reading the news and reading emails and stuff like that? And what does that do to our mindset? And so I read Robin Sharma wrote 5 a.m. something or other. It's up there. It's a yellow or orange book. And he was talking about get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have a ritual. And my coach actually did the same thing. So I start off first thing before I even open my eyes is I say what I'm grateful for. So I'm grateful for my son in the next room who is healthy and breathing and has a nice place to live. I'm thankful for my wife. And so I go through, probably a minute worth of gratitude. Like I'm grateful I woke up this morning. I'm grateful for the bed I'm sleeping. I'm grateful the heater's working. So I do that. And then I say what my intentions are for the day. And usually there's about five of them. One of them is to be present and playful with my son. The other one is to help the world, to be a better impact in the world and make it a better place for who I was and what I did for that day. To be a better human being, to be healthy and good to myself, to love myself. And so that's how I start my day every day. When I woke up this morning, honestly, I felt a heaviness, but I also felt a sense of hope. Like, okay, I'm getting sucked into all the negativity, but realistically, when we saw, the riots that were going on and all the collective souls and the different ethnicities that came out in the religious beliefs, and everybody came out and bonded over that, and you saw that. I woke up this morning, I'm like, you know what? Just because the media is saying that it's going to be this or that, I'm going to choose light. I'm going to choose love. I'm going to choose that. I think that 80% of the world is really super cool and 20% are kind of screwed up and we need to help them. But that perhaps this is all going to be for naught and it's all going to work out and it's going to be good and we're all going to learn a lesson. But that was my focus. And also, to be honest, was just to be there as much as I can for everybody else, because I know a lot of people are hurting. I had two great conversations last night with people in my coaching group who are, just literally scared to death of what's going on. So I'm just trying to be there for everybody else as I possibly can be, while also taking time for myself.
Who's there for you?
My dog. No, who's there for me? Oh, geez, everybody's there for me. I have an amazing support team. My followers, I don't even hate to call them that. My fans, my family, my crew, anybody who follows my content, they're amazing. They're for me. Of course, my wife, my mother-in-law, who's stuck here from Chicago since COVID started. Yeah, no, I have amazing coaches and mentors. Music is there for me. That's an odd one to say, I know, but I
No,
go to
it's
music.
not.
I have
No, that's a
a
great one.
journal. And also I look at when I go through those situations where we want somebody there for us, and I really examine what is it that I'm going through and how can I learn from this and what am I supposed to learn from this and how can I help other people go through it too. So I almost look at it in a sadistic way, that okay, I know I'm going through this, but I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to help other people with it.
Yeah. So how long has it taken you to get to kind of this place where you've got this, you've got your intentions, your ritual, and you've got your team behind you and you're willing to open up and get help? I mean, I know it's a process, right? We're all in a process every single day. Next year you'll be better than you are right now when we're talking, but was it this gradual process of add-on anchored Lego type things going along? What was that process for you?
Yeah, it really was, and that's a great question, Peggy. And I want to hear the same answer for you, because um, it has been a process. I mean, I told somebody this the other day, that I was so interested in making people happy and having the right identity for everyone, like make everybody happy, save the world, do all this stuff, that I had two different Facebook profiles for a couple of years, because when I would swear on my one Facebook profile, people like, oh, Chris, you don't need to swear, you're so smart and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. And like, but I swear, I actually, and I don't do it maliciously. I'm a really smart guy, but this is the way I talk. I use it for emphasis. It's passion. It's just how I talk. It's no big deal. If it's for you, great. If it's not, no worries. And so then I set up a second Facebook profile and I started doing a test. I wanted to see, okay, which one's going to be more popular.
Wow.
Over 2 years, it was about the same. It was about the same. And then I got smart and I was like, tired of being conflicted. And I got in a mastermind group with a bunch of intelligent people. And they're like, why are you trying to be two different people? Why are you trying to do that? I'm like, well, I don't want to offend people. I want to be a little rough and a little aggressive and things of that nature, but I also want to be soft. And they're like, well, just be you. And so through that process, it's really been interesting, but I've always felt that there was something that was missing, and that was an incongruency and telling people to go follow their dreams, but myself was staying comfortably miserable in a corporate job. And so once that ship sailed, and then I watched Steve Harvey's video, Jump. It's like 2 minutes. I watched that like 10 times and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. And this is it. I'm just going to be me and do what I got to do to be successful, doing what I love to do. No ifs, ands, or buts. And ever since then, I've been tremendously happier, probably 10 years younger. And just amazing. What about you? How's the journey been for you?
And your following is like, going to quadruple from, and if it doesn't matter if they follow the Pied Piper or not. It's just like you're leading your path. I don't know. I think I'm behind you. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so funny because I listened to your show and I'm sure you're wondering why I posted that particular show of yours on my Facebook site the other day, the one that was about suicide. And, it's interesting because I know my red flags. I mean, we teach that, right? All the concepts and strategies we teach. I mean, we sometimes I think it's a deflection. Like I know it, but I don't want to talk about myself. So I'm gonna help you. I'm the Ray Donovan. I'm the fixer, except I don't drink Jack. You got to help me with that. But I think it's just been honestly since COVID of this year that I got I really don't give a crap about what you think about me. I've always been kind of this girl, kind of like you. I use cuss words as a comma, just like your wife. I use it as I have cat 1 through cat 5. I live in Florida. So mine are, if I'm a cat 1, it's kind of like, hey. And if it's like a cat 5 and I'm coming at you, it's a strong cuss word. Um, but when March hit and I was headed across the nation, I got stuck at my son's house kind of by myself. I was like, what am I going to do? I was in his house by myself in Colorado.
Mm.
And so I thought, I think maybe I got a little bit crazy. So I just started grabbing stuff around the house and going live. I went live for 54 days in a row. It, shut the front door. I did. And I'm 54. And I thought, I've never done this before. Never gone live till March of this year.
No way.
Shut up, right?
Damn.
Shut up. And so I just sat there and I thought, I don't care what I'm doing. And I'm just like this. And I think part of it that I didn't do it on my phone. That was the thing, Chris. Because when you do it on your phone, you see the little eyes pop up. Oh, who's watching? Oh, what's the comments? And I don't want to get that perfection. I don't want to jump through that hoop, get that gold star, right? So I just started going. And then the next thing you know, I'm showing up just myself, like my girlfriends know, the weird Peggy. One night, every Tuesday was Coach Tip, Tuesday in the tub, put my bathrobe on. I was sitting in bathtubs. I had helmets on. I had all sorts of stuff. So I guess what I want to say is I know my red flags behind the scenes. If I'm not sleeping, if I'm getting migraines, I'm getting too busy. And then I try to fix myself, but I'm not as far ahead as you are, where I've got a strong accountability support system, where I've got a strong, gratitude and intention plan. So I mean, I'm very proud of you, but I'm on the path.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, it's a journey. That's what I tell people. It's like somebody asked me, my whole thing is about how to be unstoppable. And like, Chris, how do you stay unstoppable? That's another question I get. And I'm like, don't stop. I'm like, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, keep trying, keep persevering, keep being resourceful, keep doing different things, trying different things, saying different things, reading different books, watching different videos, just constantly look for that next opportunity, make that next opportunity happen. And I tell people, and it's just so amazing how they just fall into that victim status. And I was just wondering from you, why do you think that people are so afraid just to be themselves?
Oh, I think it comes from like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. I mean, if I sat around being like my regress life and sit back and tell me where you found your rejection, I mean, I'd be there all day. I wouldn't get crap done. Like, I don't know. I think part of it is the way that we're brought up, and some of it I think I actually put on myself. I was a type A rule follower, boom, be the best, firstborn. And so a lot of it as you get older, I mean, when you're 3 years old and you ask your son, hey, what do you want to be? He's like, I want to be a football star and a pilot and I want to be president. And then pretty soon we're like, well, I just want to graduate from high school. And, that just gets worse and worse and worse. And I think part of this comes from, 0 to 5 years old, you either did a few jumps in the house and took a step forward to saying you wanted to do something. Your parents went, yeah, or they went, oh, well, why would you want to do that? I mean, we're all the, what do we want to say? Like the outcome of what our parents did or didn't do. And you and I are both parents. So
Mhm.
our kids are going to be messed up in one way or the other. But I think people are just afraid because they don't want to fail. And that's what they have to do is hurry up and fail. Hurry up so you can figure it out and course correct
Mhm.
and let's go. I mean, I know there's not any right answer, but that's what came to mind. So
It's
cheers.
it's interesting you say that. I'm that same thing. I have said it so many times that usually when I start coaching somebody, I'm like, tell me about your childhood, and they just start talking to me about different situations. I'll ask them a couple of questions, and we'll go into some more current stuff. What kind of goals do you want to do? And I just keep things in the back of my mind. I'm like, okay, so and usually it's something that happened, like you said, between 0 and 5 that screwed him up. That's why I'm scared to death with having my 3.5-year-old son. I'm like, Jesus, with everything I know, what am I being too stern? Am I being stern enough? Should I raise da da da? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And just like being a mess. But I'm like, okay, and every parent has told me, because I used to interview parents even before I had kids myself, because I was digging in deep, like, okay, let me watch this experiment. You guys just had kids. I'm going to know you for the next 10 years. I want to see what happens. I've had the parents that like gave their kids everything and let them be free. Oh, my kid should be free. And then I see them trying to wrangle them in at 9 or 10 years old,
Right.
with
Right.
electronic zappers.
Right.
And I've seen people who've been super stern and the kids grow up really smart, but they have no social skills. So it's crazy, but it's a journey that we have to all be on. But yeah, I love talking about it.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny that you say that because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And one of the things I wanted to chat about when we come back from break is the good old self-help books and DVDs and CDs. I'll date us here. Do you still have an iPod? Do you still have an
Oh, I was
MP3 player?
actually, it's
Shut
funny.
up. Are you going to get it? Oh my gosh, you guys, if you can't see him, he's like reaching into a drawer and he
No,
certainly
I was listening to it.
does.
I was listening to it the other day. I'm writing a book and I'm actually using the music on this iPod, which is a special playlist
I
that I
am
had on
loving
there that
it.
I forgot about. I'm using this playlist, this iPod with my Bose speakers or my Bose headphones to write a book. So yeah.
Oh, shut up.
I have a
That
cassette
is,
player. You want to see that? I have a phonograph too. I don't have an eight
oh,
track. I'm not that cool.
that is really cool. Yeah, I had an 8 track once of Donna Summer. I wonder where that is. That's pretty sad actually. But
Smithsonian.
yeah, it is. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a lightning round, which is completely unrehearsed. I'm just going to ask him some random questions, and I'm sure he's going to ask me, but I don't know. And then stay tuned because at the very end of the show, like we always do, we're going to do fad or for real. So I told Chris I want him to participate with me. And you know what I do? Sometimes I talk about a diet or a product, or we don't really know what we're going to do. And then we'll talk about some of our favorite questions. So come right back to the Coach Peggy Show. I can't wait to see you soon. Bye. Hey, were you guys just whistling? Like, did you hear that? There was like a flute, and Christopher Rausch and I were here. It wasn't his guitar, he was playing his flute. So you're here on the Coach Peggy Show. I have my buddy Christopher Rausch here. And I think between us, we've kind of been coaching people for like 65-ish years, whether you label it or not, but seriously. And that's pretty damn cool.
Hmm.
Like I'm thinking that we're probably thinking we're a lot more cool than other people think we are, like right now. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't care.
The best part is we don't care. I mean, when you think about, I was telling somebody this the other day because they came to
Oh,
me for coaching and they were like, the ultimate sore spot for them is that they really cared about what other people think.
mm,
And, when I was sitting there, I'm like, you know what? I'm not a historian. I'm not very good at history, but when you look at how long people have been around and everything that's going on, and you look at the vastness of that time span,
mm,
and you look
yeah,
at, our headstone and we're like 1969 to 20, whatever it's going to be for me. And like that little dash, like, no, in the grand scheme of things, nobody cares anything about us.
no one
If
cares.
anybody's caring about us right now, it's because they are envious, jealous, something or other, because they should be looking at their own damn selves. And I tell people all the time, if you think people have that much time that they care really what you're doing, you're giving yourself way bigger pat on the back because
I
nobody
know.
cares what you're doing. So just go do whatever it is that you do. Am I right or am I
Exactly.
right?
Oh no, you're so right. I've told so many people that you're not that special that I actually got mugs and mail them to people. Because I mean, hashtag you're not that special because nobody is that special. Somebody's gonna put their feet on the ground that day to just think about you all day. There, you're on the next scroll, button. We are just, not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
But for those people who, before we do the lightning round, I just want to ask you, like, what would be your action item if someone says, "Oh my gosh, I'm a perfectionist and I don't want to take risks, Chris." You're like, "Peggy, we don't have all day."
No,
Like,
I'm
what
like,
would you say? I'm
you're
like, "Oh
asking
my
the guy
gosh."
that was a perfectionist.
Okay, so let me mirror. Okay, so I just sat down in front of you and I'm like, Chris, I'm really struggling. I really want to keep going in this profession, but I'm having a hard time breaking through because, like, I'm such a perfectionist. So how did you do it? How'd
I
you
would
break
first
through?
ask you, do you really want to do it on a scale of 1 to 10? How bad
Yeah,
do you want to
that's
do it?
good. That's really good.
How
Yeah.
do you want to do it? Let's identify the word I really want it. What's really want?
Yeah.
Is that a 9 or a 10? Is that blood, sweat, and tears? Or is that, oh, that's because my dad said I should? Let's first define that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are you doing it for?
Well, yeah, I mean,
One thing that drives me crazy too, and then
drive me.
I swear we'll get to the lightning round. Um, One thing that drives me crazy in all those coaching books and self-help books is when they say, "What's your why?" And I know we both said it, right? What's your why? It's that peel back the onion. What's the deeper root? And I get it, but some people don't get that for like 5 years. So for this perfectionist person that you just said, what's your scale of 0 to 10? Who are you doing it for? I'm in front of you in a seminar. I'm totally making this up. I got a red dress on with fur around my neck. No, I'm sitting in the
Ooh,
front,
that's
woo,
what
in
I'm
some
about.
heels. I'm sitting in the front and I'm just like, and how are you going to get me deeper and deeper and pull that out of me and get some emotion out of me to say, do you really want to do this? Is this what you really want to do? Like
Well, see,
Tony
I'm a visual
Robbins me.
person,
Tony
so now I've got
Robbins
the
me.
red dress in my head, and I'm on stage, and I'm looking down, and I'm like, "Damn, don't think that, Chris. Don't think that, Chris. Don't."
I know.
This.
And she paid to be here.
She got the
So,
good seats.
yeah, how would
Uh,
you?
Honestly, I mean, really, I mean, it's funny you mentioned the why because one of the things I've simplified, and sometimes people give me grief about it, but I really don't care. Like Simon Sinek, if anybody knows who Simon Sinek is, he wrote the book, it's about the why. And for me, one of the things that broke me through my complacency and my laziness was like, Chris, what is your why? When I go back to
Mhm.
when I wrote my eulogy back in 2008, I was at a funeral for a coworker, and I sat at the back of the church, and I was like, watching all these people just getting up and eulogizing this person that I knew. I didn't know her very well, but I knew her enough that I cared about to go to her funeral.
Right.
And I'm watching everybody up there, and I see my buddy Dave Riley get up there in his pink suit and just blabbering and I'm like, wow, okay, let's play a game, Chris. And I'm watching the funeral and everything. I'm like, let's play a little game in your mind. If you died tomorrow, who would show up and what would they say?
Amen.
Well, who
Yeah.
would show up and what would they say? And back in my mind, I started laughing. I'm like, oh, a bunch of like 10 people would show up with cases of beer. Like, oh my God, Chris, let me tell you about the time Chris did this. Let me tell you about the Chris time Chris said this. Oh, you
Exactly
think
right.
that, it'd just be a party and a bunch of people saying, yeah, he was a good guy. I mean, he tried to help people. And I sat in traffic all the way home from that. And I'm like, you know what? That's not a good enough reason for me to be here, to leave that legacy. What a waste. And so I
Yeah.
wrote my eulogy on paper, tears came down my face, and I got to that part. So for me, when trying to figure out what it is that people really want in life, to answer your question in a very long way, is you got to just figure out what it is that you want to be remembered for. What
It's
is every action,
gorgeous.
every
That,
choice you're
yeah.
making every single day. I'm leading a group coaching program right now with my buddy, and that's one of the first things we had him do is write your eulogy. It's like, that's your guidepost. So, okay, I'm feeling this, Chris. I'm like, okay, let's go back to your eulogy. What's your legacy say? Does your legacy say that you're going to be a reactionary person, or does it say you're a loving, caring person for humanity? You've already
Right.
illustrated what it is you want to do. So now you have to continue to make those choices and those actions that are going to support that and not be
Yeah.
lazy, not, oh, it's too hard. Yeah, everything in life is
Yeah.
hard, but guess what? It's usually worth it too. That's why there is
Yeah.
easy and hard. But yeah, so I draw that out of them and I just figure out what's important, strip away all the excuses and all the BS why they're saying
Hmm.
they can't do it. And like, okay, if you really want to do it and let's strip away the excuses, then there's no reason why you cannot do it. And I'll even ask them that question, like, is there any reason why you cannot achieve, you want to open up your medical billing company? Okay. Is
Hmm.
there any reason why you can't? No. Okay, then let's do it.
Right. It's almost like you created your own alter ego out of yourself, your own character, your own superhero, where you were like, you're not dialing in like Superman, like some people do. I mean, there's theories about that, right? We have alter egos. Mine's the wisdom warrior. Do you like that?
And the wisdom
I'm,
warrior.
I'm yeah, I'm Athena. I mean, you come out of a male's head with a sword. I think that's cool, right? Zeus is my
I got to
dad.
get
I
high
mean,
before we do that, but
how would you, why would you ever want a dad other than Zeus, people? Um, but Where was I going with that? What were you just saying? Help me
Hmm?
out. No,
We were
you were
talking
just
about Lucky
it's
Charms or
no, your
Cheerios.
alter ego. Stop. I was talking about
Make the
pomegranates the
train
whole
go
time.
somewhere else.
So, but what's interesting is that you're waking up in the morning to try to definitely be that self that you want to be. That where a lot of people believe the theory that you can sometimes, Beyonce has an alter ego, Eminem has one, and so they have to step into that attitude, that BA to get the job done, to get out on stage or whatever. But you're stepping into your epitaph, man.
Hmm. How cool is that?
That's a totally cool t-shirt for us. Step into
Hmm.
your epitaph.
Stepping
A
into your
whole new
epitaph.
course. If we were doing courses again.
Can you imagine? Taking the storm,
Courses.
taking the place by storm.
I
Yeah, I mean,
know.
there's so many different ways to go from that. It's just, it's what is it you're going to choose? And so many people choose. The thing I tell people is like, I'm here to change your perspective about the past, present, and the future. So if I could just get you to change like just a little bit, everybody's looking for the massive shift. If you just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you just shift and say, everything's happening to me, blah, 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 and they got this victim mindset, I'm like, whoa, how about the power of perhaps, one of my favorite words,
Hmm.
perhaps all of this is by design to carry you through these challenging situations, not impossible, challenging, to
Yeah,
get you to the spot that you so desperately really want to go, but you keep shooting yourself in the foot for because you're living
yeah,
on past beliefs from people who didn't know any better when you were a kid.
yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And they're like, wait, say that again. I'm like, think about it.
Perhaps. Yeah,
You've been screwed up all your life, and now we're trying to unscrew you up. I usually say a different word, unscrew you up, and and be able to. You guys can figure that out, right?
yeah.
But and
Sounds
I'm
like
pretty impressed. I came up
three
with that.
syllables.
I got to pat myself on the back because I'm not used to
Good
not swearing.
stoppage.
Yeah. So, and we just kind of just unwind all the bad
Yeah.
stories and all the bad beliefs, and we start off fresh. And it's amazing how quick that can really happen when somebody is at their pain point. And that's the thing. And I wanted to ask you this question: why do you think people do things? Why do you think actually people take action on their dreams or take action in situations where otherwise they wouldn't?
I think sometimes, unfortunately, what I see is they're back up against the wall. I mean, I used to run, medical clinics, right? So I was always running a second profession. I was always coaches or personal trainer, nutritionist, and I was still kind of my feet in the corporate world, corporate wellness coordinator, and them going to me, I think this is a conflict of interest that you also work at Gold's Gym. I'm like, and how is that? But yeah, um, I think that people have to take daily action steps every single day, and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. It's for me, it's another thing to veer. I'm totally off road and just totally veered.
Go
Something that I
off road.
hear all the time is, why, Peggy, do you have your clients go back when they should be going forward? Okay. Why do you talk about habits of the past and habits of how they grew up? And that's where the secret sauce is what the hell have you been doing up to now?
Mhm.
Because I don't I have some clients right now. I have a 19-year-old and a 24-year-old boy. Guess what? Loving it, because I get to pave the way and say, hey, when you're a father and you're 29 years old and this is probably going to happen, let's try plan A, B, and C and see what just goes. But most of the time, we're rewinding. We're going back to being real. So I have to know that those secret sauces and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But it's the older group that has a harder time realizing that baby steps matter. Taking daily action steps consistently matter. Do it to shut up, to put up, just do it, like the Nike commercial. Just do it. Supposed to move, just do it. I know it's the hardest thing, but our younger population gets it. Younger population, when you say do it, they get it, versus the older people, listen to me. People my age,
Damn old people.
old people, we complain about the millennials. And I know I didn't even really answer your question, but I can tell you one thing right now with the millennials, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing, because I've got a millennial and like a pre or postish, whatever we want to call him. I can't keep up. Good God. Um, but I can tell you one thing that I'm frustrated with right now when people say millennials is, I'm frustrated when they say everything was handed to them. They're entitled, da, da, da. Because, yeah, no, those are my babies and they
Mhm.
ain't no entitled. They're out in the field working in the oil field, humping all day long in freaking North Dakota when it's 20 below zero. So don't be telling me my kids are entitled. But the thing I can tell you right now that makes me so angry is they say, well, they want instant gratification. They are not going to do anything without instant gratification. I'll give you that for a certain percent. But so do we. So do my 30, 40, and 50-year-old,
Mhm.
60-year-old
Oh,
clients who
give me a
won't do
break.
anything unless it's right. And especially the
My
mindset
phone
stuff.
is slow. It's
Yeah,
going to outer space and back. Give it a second.
exactly. Yeah. or they won't, yeah, or like, I see you out walking and talking and, doing your coachable moments and stuff like that. And that's a daily action step. You don't want to go sometimes on Tuesday,
Mhm.
but you go. And why do you go? Your why is to often go because you need to go for you. And the coachable moments are in that time where you're being transparent and saying, hey, I'm showing up.
Mhm.
Where are you? Oh, you're listening. Okay, cool. Then I'm speaking to you if you're still listening. But I think the reason that people won't take steps is they know what they're going to have to do it for a long period of time. They know it's hard. Have you ever had people say to you, don't say hard? Don't tell your clients it's hard.
Mhm.
Have you ever had people say that?
It's interesting you say that.
I'm going to smack them.
I'm very particular about words, and as my coaching has grown and become better, I focus on words and that definition of words and definition of phrases. So I say
Yeah,
challenging, because when I think of something being challenging, if you go through a challenge, do you grow? Yes. If something's
correct.
hard, then it like, oh, that's hard. Math was hard. I don't want to do math. But if it's something
Correct.
that's challenging and it's going to make you grow, then I change that perspective. It's like, okay, you get through a
Yeah.
challenge. Do you feel rewarded when you do it? Yes. Okay. Then how can we look at this as a challenge that you could feel rewarded that you get through?
It's really funny looking at you with those guitars in the background because for years, when I started off on my own in 2016, you know how it is when you meet with your clients, you don't come rehearsed. Because back in the day, you could go sit down and go, okay, now this is what I'm going to talk to John about today. So it's Monday, and I'm just going to, no, because you never know what they're going to bring to the table. So you don't come
Mhm.
rehearsed, right? But what's really funny is I ask them two questions when we first sit down. What rocked since the last time we met? And I'm looking at your guitars and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I say that. So, what rocked this last week or whenever we last met? Tell me some of the good. And then what areas of improvement, if you had a magic wand and could go back, rather than saying, what did you do or not do this week on your commitments or whatever. But how do you approach that with the people that you meet with saying to you, hey, I really nailed this, but I could do this? How do you start that conversation with them?
That's another great question, Peggy. This is
I'm
something
on
I
a
was going
roll, aren't I, big
to,
guy?
this is something I was going to bring up for us to discuss, because it's a common thing that I find aspects of personal development, and I find aspects, I'm going to spend a little time on this because I know there's nuances, and I know everything we've said has been said 1,000 times before. I know I'm mentoring a guy. Oh, I know a guy. I shouldn't say I'm mentoring him. That would be a bad statement. I know a guy who's 25 years old who is amazing, and he goes back and he reads and listens to all the old stuff. He's like, oh, wasn't that Earl Nightingale? He was like, I'm like, how do you know who Earl Nightingale is? Good Lord, dude.
Trust me.
He's doing his work. He's doing his work. Um,
That's amazing.
so, we, hang on.
No, this is what we're doing. No, I'm looking in your eyes. This is what's so amazing because I know you're self-professed ADD, ADHD. Listen, nobody wants to put baby in a corner, both of us in a corner for a whole entire day because I'm like addicted to mania. And I'm looking at you and you're going, oh my God, where did I go? How come I didn't answer that question? It's because you got so excited. I
Yep.
saw you look up to your
Mhm.
right brain, your
I
right
do that.
side
I
and
do
go,
that all. I do
I
it
love
all.
it.
It's really weird how I do that too now. All right.
It's your
Take
right
two.
brain.
What was the question again?
Oh, frick. I have no
Oh, no, no,
idea.
no, no, no. I know the question is. You're just driving me crazy. I'm trying not to look at you so I can actually focus.
Because you're picturing me in my red dress with the fur neckline. Oh, God. Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
Oh,
Oh,
so
killing me.
going back to everything, and to answer your question, I ask people what is their best, right? Well, I had a
Yeah,
situation a couple of years ago, and I was like, I did the best I could, and I went, wait, Chris, something in my conscious went, wait, Chris, what is your best? And I'm
yeah,
like, Chris, you didn't do your best. That's a
yeah,
cop out. And I went, okay, where does the cop out come from? Going to what you're saying, you got to rewind the story and go, okay, why did I just say I did the best I could when I didn't? Oh,
mhm.
that was a get out of jail card when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
Chris, did you do your best?
I
Yeah.
try. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
okay. We'll do better next time. Nobody ever
yeah,
qualifies what our best is. Nobody qualifies
yeah,
what's better. We just, okay, you've been disciplined. I did my job. Now I can go back to doing what I'm doing and feel comfortable. And you know what you're supposed to do. And we toddle off. We're like, ooh, that worked. And
yeah,
even building upon
exactly.
that, when we're little kids, I'm watching my son do this. My little kid's like swearing or not swearing at people. He's looking at people and staring, not swearing.
Yeah,
He's staring at people like, Jackson, stop doing that. But he doesn't know. He's just intrigued. He's like, why does that
yeah,
person have so
yeah.
many things on their face? But
Right.
what do we do as parents? Like, shh,
Exactly.
don't tell them the truth. You got to tell them this thing called a white lie. Ooh, you're telling me an inside secret of how I can get away with stuff for the rest of my life. Thanks, mom and dad.
So
Thanks,
true.
teachers. Oh,
So true.
so all that psychological conditioning goes into that stuff. So when you ask somebody what their best was, like, okay, let's determine what is your best. Like, again, go back to the definition of what it is that we're using as coaches and as
Mhm.
people. It's like, what is my best? What am I willing to invest in my why? Am I willing blood, sweat, and tears? I ask people, are you blood, sweat, and tears? Are you David Goggins? Who's David Goggins? Okay,
Yeah.
let me show you a video for a second.
Yeah.
You're either that or you're on a different end of the spectrum. I'm not David Goggins. I don't want to be David Goggins. I am super intrigued by his dedication and his
Right.
overwhelming command of his mindset. That intrigues the heck out of me, but I like to have fun and have a little bit of balance in life. But really, when we go back to what our best is, when I think about it, like if somebody came to me and said, Chris, I want you to fundraise $20,000 that's not illegal, immoral, or unethical by the end of the week. Oh, that would be hard. That would, what am I, you want me to what? Fundraise $20,000? But oh, click, put a gun to my kid's head.
Right.
It can't be illegal, immoral, or unethical. Can you raise $20,000 in a week? Oh yeah. Guess what? My best just got really flipping good.
Yeah.
And I know
exactly.
that's a drastic
Right.
thing
I
to
get
say,
you.
but that's how I get people. I got a guy to quit smoking cigarettes by just telling him to have a conversation in his mind with his eyes closed to his 4-year-old daughter that he's choosing cigarettes over her.
Yes. Done it. Yes.
But I said, just give me
Amen.
a second. We spent 15 minutes. The guy was in
Yep.
tears. He's like, I didn't realize that's what I'm doing. I'm like,
Right.
that's what you're literally telling. So for me, it's about what is your best? What are you willing to invest in? And some people say, you know, I'm really not willing to invest that much. I'm like, okay, let's be realistic about this. Is this a hobby? Is this a nice to? Where is this coming from? Then half the time you find out it's something they really don't want to do. They just want the recognition for having done it. And then we get to what's the real root of what it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
How's that for you? Best and everything.
I just, my producer, David, he's so cute, is probably going, Peggy, you're having so much fun. You forgot to ask him a lightning round question. So David, skip the commercial because we're not going to have one. I have a lightning round question for you. So the lightning round question is if, I'm just making it up. Let's fast forward to 90 years old because I'm going to live to 102. Have you ever picked an age that you're going to live to? First question. 126. I love that. Yeah. Mine's 102. Do you picture how it's going to happen?
How I'm going to go?
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Oh,
It's all done. I got the music set. I got the playlist set. Everything's done. I'm at the beach. Parties happening, drinking, the sun's setting, the ocean waves are doing. And all of a sudden the last song comes on. It's like Enya or Rod Stewart or something like that. And everybody's having a good time. And I just kind of lean back and I just kind of go, yeah, it's been good. And I just kind of just cruise off. And everybody just comes around like a weekend at Bernie's like, come on, Chris, he's drunk. And it goes back to that whole thing. Like, oh, Chris is drunk again. We're going to stack plates on his head and do shit like that. So yeah.
That is so great. It's so funny because I'm 102. I'm sitting on a beach. So weird, their story. I'm 102, sitting on a beach. I'm in one of those little tiny chairs. I look great, right? And my kids are walking behind me. I'm just out there looking at the ocean, having a good. It's nice and peaceful. My oldest one is walking in front of my youngest one, and they look exactly like they do now, which is like, it's not scientifically possible that I'm 102 and they're still their age. And my oldest one comes up behind me, and he looks at me. They're coming to get me for dinner. Nice beach house, coming to get me. And he looks at me, and I've just gone to sleep. And this is verbatim what he says. He turns around and looks at my son and says, she's passed on, but damn, did she do a good job. Like she nailed this life. It's so, because I can see it. I'm 102. That was my lightning round question, except I do have one more.
Bring it.
Past life. Do you believe in past lives?
Should I show you the books over here?
Shut up. Really?
Right.
Really?
Let's see. There's a book called Miracles Happen. That was one of them.
Really? I didn't know where you were.
I did not much go into my tagline for everybody who's listening and watching, and I won't say part of it, is I help people overcome their self-created crap without the self-help BS.
Yes.
Well, the self-help fluffy BS of that equation was a little bit prior to my indoctrination with my coach last year from New Zealand. So she introduced me to a lot of this past life and spirit guides and all this other hokey pokey stuff that I was like, what are you telling me? Go talk to my spirit guides. What am I supposed to say? She goes, just talk to them. I'm like, all right, I trust you. You're cool. You got your stuff together. And then so I started, really trying to, again, figure out what I really try to figure out, Peggy. And I'm sure you're the same way, as like, how can I help people in a faster, quicker way that's solid and forever? How can I just cut to the crap? Because I used to be that speaker. You should go back and look at my YouTube videos. I was a suit and tie speaker, no bandana, no nothing, no hat. It's on my YouTube. I have it
nicely in a box tied up with a tie. I get it. I was probably on after you, right after you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was crazy, and
it's
just amazing how we go through the process and just learn and grow from.
Well, we don't want to get in our own way. I mean, we're aligned with our passion. We know why we're here. Duh. That's what we wouldn't be this passionate. We wouldn't still be doing this after this long. And so when you're aligned with it, for me, I mean, personally, I should speak is I don't want to get in my own way. So it's like with spirit guides or whatever, woohoo, I come from kind of the Western side. I always call it Western medicine, even though I wasn't. But, when you coach and you kind of come from that Western side of years ago, let's talk 80s, 90s or whatever, you didn't talk. You didn't know the word meditation. You didn't talk spirit. You didn't, those types of things. And part of it is as a coach, we didn't dabble in that stuff. We didn't talk about religion and politics and sexuality and spirit and all those things. It was just very nutrition and exercise. And then mindset came along not that long ago. Were we
Mhm.
labeling it mindset? It was self-improvement. But the point is with the past life is I wanted to ask you is there any particular one or something or lesson or surprise if you believe in path? What would be your story?
That's again, love your questions. In
You're
my
way ahead of me,
journey.
buddy. Don't ask me. Don't ask me mine. I'll stop
Okay.
it right now
Okay.
because I don't have one. Go
Okay.
ahead. What's yours?
So my overarching thing about past lives and really trying to understand, because dying used to scare the living bejesus out of me when I was a little kid. I used to have horrendous nightmares, and I'm not even sure now when I look back, were they nightmares or was it something that my soul has experienced? It's kind of weird. And I don't want to get too metaphysical or too deep for everybody, but at the same time, I, in trying to examine why the fear of death, it's like the permanency of like, I'm never going to be here again. I used to freak out. I'm like, okay, how
Mhm,
can I give this again? Coaching myself, how can I give myself a different perspective? And
mhm.
then in talking with my coach and talking about always being in survivor mode, she's like, dude, you're always in survivor mode. You're never in thriver mode. I'm like, my life is great. My life is this. But again, my perspective was like, don't lose anything. Don't lose anything. Keep
Yeah.
going, keep going, keep going. Don't rest. Do not rest. We do not rest. We keep going. We keep going. We keep
So
accomplishing,
true.
because accomplishing is validation, and a validation feels good. So let's keep doing that. So she
Yeah.
got me out of that. And by introducing me, like, she goes, okay, really, you're not, and Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say this beautifully. He's like, you're a soul having a human existence. And I used to understand, I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then somebody turned me on to Michael Singer, and I read The Untethered Soul. Is that the first one? Surrender Experiment, Untethered. Yeah, The Untethered Soul, which is the first one. And I read that. I normally would not read a book like that. And I read it and I was just mesmerized. I'm like, okay, I'm not this voice. I'm this. Okay. So if I'm here as a soul that's having multiple human journeys to learn things, then my perspective is that while I'm here learning these things, I want to learn them faster. So I tell people,
Yeah.
run towards the things that are uncomfortable.
Good point.
So my thing with past lives is that we keep coming back. We keep coming back to a lot of the same characters in our life that we may be male or female or brother or sister or mom and dad. I've done that research. It's like, do you realize that's why we're all attracted to each other? Because we're all trying to find those
Yeah.
people in our life that we're supposed to be joined with, that we're supposed to continue learning from.
Yeah.
So it's actually exciting to me now to think about that. So I'm not afraid of dying necessarily. I'm afraid of leaving my son before it's too early. I want to be around to be a grandfather to him. That's my goal.
Yeah.
With that, I'm good. I want to make
Yeah.
sure he
Yeah.
has a
Yeah. Yeah.
grandpa,
Yeah.
because right now he doesn't have a grandpa. Both of his grandpas are passed away. So I'm like, what a great thing to be a
Oh, show
dad
them
who
how
didn't
it's
know
done.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
dad, who never
Yeah.
had a dad, and then to be a grandpa for the grandpa that he never had. It's kind of weird.
That's
But
no,
yeah,
no.
so the soul experience, yeah, you have to look at it as like, and I tell people this, and I'm not by any means a doctor or a suicide counselor or anything, but I'm like, the things that you're facing right in this moment that are causing you want to give up, they're gonna be there. They're gonna
Mm,
be there, whether you're successful or not. They're gonna be there. And in the next period, whatever you come back as, those experiences and those lessons you need to learn are still gonna be there. So
right.
let's face them right now.
That's right.
What
Cut
about you?
through the
I mean, I know
BS.
you said not
No,
to ask you, but you
no,
must have an opinion about
yeah.
something. Come on. What were you before?
No,
Were you a hang glider?
I've
I don't know.
actually it's so funny. Then we're going to have to figure out how to find you. I'll just tell you two quick stories that will just I'll actually tell you one. So one of my vivid dreams that have happened over and over again, and I've never had anybody tell me this. I've never said this to many people, but I'm standing on a plantation. I'm a white person on a plantation, female in a yellow, huge bouffant type dress. And I'm married to the guy that's like a really big wig in this southern US town. And I come out, so obviously it's hundreds of years ago, and there are slaves in the backyard and they're picking cotton. And I am standing there and I look over my road. And when I'm talking repetitive, over and over, I've had this dream in my life. And I look over my shoulder to make sure my husband's not coming. And I look out and I say, run. And I tell all of them in the field, go. And I can picture in my head Underground Railroad, like, get out now. And I just let them all go. So
Ooh,
I don't know. That's pretty vivid, isn't it? Yellow dress now instead of a red one.
there's something to it.
Okay, so fat or for real went away. And then the favorite question went away because we had so much fun. So we're going to have you back. But I want you to give a call to action. Yes, it's the election. Yes, we had COVID. You guys, I hope you had a really good time with us just off-roading. I like had a super blast.
Me too. Thank you.
If you have a call to action for everybody today as they get ready to go to bed and wake up in the morning, Chris, tell our listeners what a call to action might be.
Well, first of all, Peggy, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and having me here. It's been super, super fun. I dig it. I love the fact that you can see where my eyes, I'm like, that's creepy. Cause I watch myself. I'm like, there I went. I'm like, yeah. And I joke on my show. I joke around and people know about it. Like sometimes Chris, I'm like, I'll be joking. I'm like, wait. And I'll even have my audience like chime in, tell me where I'm at. And that's just one of my, it's not even
It's
a
your
fault.
right side. It's creative.
It's
It's
my brain
thinking.
that's moving.
It
It's
is.
my brain that's moving. But my call to action, honestly,
Yeah.
and this is one of the simplest things I've ever said. And I
Okay.
love saying it over and over again. But my call to action to everybody listening, watching, whether it's right now or whenever, is be a part of the solution. Do not be a
Mm,
part of the problem.
yes, I
That's
know. I agree.
perspective. Just be a part of the solution.
Yes, sir. We can control a couple things in life, and that is our attitude and our presentation style. I mean, we can, whether we like it or not, we can own those things. Hey, tell everybody where they can find you, and I mean, the easiest place to hop on. Where can our followers and listeners find you?
Best place to find me and all my social media is ChristopherRausch.com, RAUSCH, ChristopherRausch.com. Or if that's too tough, you could just say no excuses coach.com. Sorry, say it again, noexcusescoach.com. And I would
Send a
love to connect with you guys.
pigeon, a smoke signal, pray to the
I'm
Jesuses.
easily
Yeah.
findable. No
Exactly.
excuses coach, you'll get it.
Oh gosh, this has been awesome. You guys, thank you for tuning in. It's election night, and I want you guys to just make sure that you enjoy each other tonight and laugh, laugh, laugh. Next Tuesday, come on back. We're going to have another awesome show and an awesome guest. And I've got Isabel Donadio coming onto the show. And if you want to see any of my crazy happy hours on Monday nights, I have question and answers. Email me at peggy@allthingswellness.com, kiddo questions or whatever. Have a really good time. And I love you and I mean it. And I'll see you next week.